3:30. That means it's time to convene the brainiacs of the local sports world.
Ooh, wow.
I don't know. Brainiacs is a strong word.
Yeah. I don't know if we can handle that.
It's time to gather the mildly challenged of the local sports world.
Yeah, that fits better.
All right.
Yeah.
So we got some things to talk about here.
We do.
I got a trivia question here.
Okay.
One that I did not know, and I'll tell you that in a minute, but I know we want to get to the Joy Grove stuff.
Yes.
And so I thought we'd just get this stuff out of the way first. Let's get the petty stuff out of the way first. That's why I'm here. I provide the pettiness in the show. My least favorite sports persons of the week is the Chicago Bears.
Okay, what they
hate the Bears. They didn't screw up the draft like they always do.
Well, you don't know yet.
These guys are in danger of actually being good.
Yeah.
And now I have to watch out for the Bears in our division. Not only the Lions and the Packers, now the stinking Bears are looking decent.
Yeah, unless Caleb Williams ends up being a flop, then you're okay.
That's what I'm praying for.
The NFC North could be surprisingly very competitive next year.
Yeah. After being the dog of the league for about the last decade or so, they could be the best. It's with the way they're looking at it now.
And I was so happy to see the Lions actually get good. I'm not like a huge Detroit fan. They're not my favorite team by any means, but they'd been kind of doormats for so long. It was so good. I was kind of hoping they'd have a nice 5-8 year run of kind of being the kings of that division, and that may not happen now.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, you give Caleb Williams, who, granted, we don't know what he's going to be like. There's been guys that have been touted draft picks that have not worked out. But you give Caleb Williams 3 number 1 receivers to throw to, and Cole Kmet, who's one of the better tight ends in the league. He's got success, so if he comes in and fails, it's kind of on him.
Yep.
I really can't wait for all those guys that are like, the Bears, running around, and they're going to start painting their fingernails like Caleb Williams.
Honnold will come in with the finger paint on, right?
Honnold needs to start painting his fingernails in honor of Caleb Williams.
He probably already has the toenails painted so nobody can see it.
Hey, that's rumor that you're starting. All right, here's my trivia question of the morning. I did not know this. I was watching the Twins game the other day, and they were talking about a pitcher having an immaculate inning.
Okay.
Do you know what an immaculate inning is? Casey says he does.
Yeah,
I had never heard that.
Is that the trivia question?
That's just define what
I've heard of it before. If I'm correct in my brain, then yes, I know what it is. But
you throw nine strikes with the 3 strikeouts.
With 3 strikeouts,
in the one inning, it's 3 strikeouts on 9 pitches, an immaculate inning.
I've done that.
You've done that?
I've done that.
So he says. We don't have proof. So he says.
You can ask my brother Jim, who was catching for me that day. I was 8th grader. Yeah, I was an 8th grader. Varsity game. We had a kid that threw upper 80s, and I was probably like 45. You
were the crafty.
Yes. And we were facing Irwin back when there was Irwin Kirkman at that time, before they were even with Manila, and they had 3 guys that went on to play college ball. And Coach yanks me off third base and says, "You're going in to pitch this inning." And he goes, "Don't take any warm-up pitches." He didn't want anybody to see how slow I threw. I think they each swung 3 times on every pitch because they were so far out in front of me. But my brother said, he goes, "I put my putt up and you hit the putt every single time." So
it's like that devastating changeup that you got.
Yes. Except for it was my fastball.
They didn't realize. There was no other additional speed.
So I think if I'd have went out a second inning, I'd have given up about 800 hits in the inning. So, but he went out. I faced 3 guys, struck them all out, and they got me out of it.
How did I get to be this old without knowing what an immaculate inning is? That's what I want to know. Maybe that's next week's trivia question. How the heck did I get this old? Not knowing that? By the way, 2 Pittsburgh Pirate pitchers are the last 2 to do it.
Who are they?
No clue. I couldn't tell
I
you
thought you had that information in front of you.
No, I did the research, but I didn't bother writing that part down.
Okay.
So, anyway, immaculate inning. There
Pretty
you go.
Cool. Hopefully we get to see one of those in the high school game this year. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. And by the way, that starts in a couple weeks.
Yeah, less than 2 weeks. The 13th of May.
I'm just hoping the wind dies down by then.
Me too.
It's just brutal when you got to play in this kind of wind that we have seemingly every day.
And I will tell you, it was a long game last year, but I did South Central Calhoun Glidden. The thing that's really bad about early season baseball sometimes, it started off and I was in shorts and a T-shirt and comfortable, and by the time that game got done at 11 o'clock that night, I needed a hoodie and everything else. I couldn't get warm because I didn't bring any warm clothes with me, but the game lasted quite long, and wow, it was cold by the time the game was over. So
Yeah, I've ran in a few of those games myself. I love those July nights where, man, you just start to sweat, and it seems like even after the game, you're still
sweating
in sweat.
Yeah, I would take that 365 days a year.
Yeah, I know. That's just sick and wrong. Sick and wrong. So you were down in Manning last night, so we got to talk about this. And this is all seriousness here. That the school board voted 6-0 to terminate the contract of Joy Gross, the longtime softball coach. Any other of her coaching responsibilities taken away?
No, just as the softball coach, and still going to be teaching down there and everything else. So
we still have no idea why.
No,
that we know of. Anyway.
Yeah, and I'm hoping to get an opportunity. Have been busy this morning so far with interviews with other coaches for our podcast that we do, but I'm hoping to be able to reach out to some school board members. I will be honest with you, I'm anticipating no comment. I just don't think they'll comment on it. But I was asked last week, late in the week, I received several messages from different people wanting me to come down and cover the meeting and kind of give me a heads up that they were going to be voting on this and discussing this. But got down there last night, sat through the open part of the meeting, and then I don't understand the legality of all of the things. I know I had a media guy reach out to me this morning and tell me that they didn't think that it was legal with the way they did it last night, but they had a lawyer there that was representing the school. They went into something that wasn't considered a closed session, but under some part of the law they can do it, where what they did is everybody had to leave the room except for Joy was in there along with the school board members. Administrators were not even in the room during this part of it. It was the lawyer and the 6 board members. They would bring one person in at a time. You had to previously had been on a list and asked to speak and stuff. So everybody that was there last night that I was aware of was there in support of Joy Gross staying on as the head coach, but that lasted about an hour and a half. So we stood out in the hallway for an hour and a half, maybe an hour and 45 minutes, until all of them went in one at a time. And then when they were done speaking, they had to leave the room. And then the school board stayed in the room by themselves and discussed. That probably lasted another hour, and then they left us back in. And the motion, don't quote me word for word on it, but it was something of the nature of, I make a motion to terminate effective immediately the coaching contract of softball coach Joy Gross. And then there was a comment kind of attached to that of, and I feel we need to reevaluate or evaluate all of the athletic programs at IKM Manning. Right now, it was seconded. They did a roll call vote. All 6 were yes. Immediately after that, they ended the meeting with a motion to end the meeting. And I walked out with the group to kind of to catch up with Coach Gross, and then hoping to catch up with a school board member. It took me maybe minute and a half, 2 minutes to get a quick conversation with Coach Gross, and all she said was very disappointing. And that's the only comment she wanted to make. By the time I got back into the room, the school board members were gone, which understandable. So have not had a chance. I did ask administration that was there if they wanted to make any comment. They didn't have any part of the vote, so they were like, yeah, no, we don't have any comment. And that's kind of all we know right now is that Joy Gross, a Hall of Fame coach. I think they said last night 716 wins. I know she's between 700 and 800 and stuff. Softball contract terminated, and their first game will be the 19th, right around the 19th of May. So they've got. I
will say that we bring this up not to take sides. We're not taking sides in any way, shape, or form on this. But obviously the school board had their reasons for doing what they did, and Joy was there on hand for that. So we don't know what went down last night, but just the fact that it happened this close to the season is a little odd.
Yeah.
It's a lot odd.
It is odd. Softball practice started yesterday. Yesterday was the first official day of softball practice, and now they're, a lot of pressure on Corey McCarville right now, their AD down there. I'm sure that he's had a little bit of lead time knowing this was coming, but how long, I don't know, to try and figure out what direction they're going to go. But they've got to get somebody in. My guess would be that whoever was on the staff previously is probably not going to come back because they were there to support Joy last night. The only I don't know. So it'll be interesting to see the direction that they head with the program right now.
I mean, like John said, not taking sides, but you feel for the girls in the program, right now, because
there were some younger girls that were part of the high school program that were there last night. They were broken up. Like I said, there was probably between 50 and 100 people at the meeting last night, and from what I gathered from all of them, they were all there in support of Joy, and there were some very frustrated, very disappointed people last night, and like I said, not taking sides. I've been doing this for about 25 years now overall, and covered school board as the news director here for several years. I knew what was happening the moment I walked back into the library for the meeting last night after everything was done, before they made the vote, because you walked in. The first thing I did was look to read the school board. Nobody looked up. Nobody had a smile on their face. Everybody, there was that, we're about to do something that's going to rock not just our area. This is going to be a statewide story. You got a Hall of Fame coach that terminated,
just got ousted, very quickly right before the season
and
happened.
stuff. But you could read the faces. You knew at that point, at least I did anyway, where the decision was going.
You got to assume a couple things. One thing that obviously there was very specific reasons.
Yep,
and
have to be.
It happened like this way, just the way it went down. But I think the other thing I think kind of ominous is that they want a review of the entire athletics.
Yeah, and part of that is as well as I do, John. When ICAM Manning formed, they were state tournament bound in pretty much every sport, on a yearly basis. Athletics down there as a whole, for the most part, not every sport, but a lot of sports struggling a little bit here as of late, and not taking sides, but parents that grew up competitive and winning aren't understanding maybe why the school's not continuing to win, and they're wanting to try and figure out why, and figure out what needs to be done to get things back to the winning ways that they've been used to. And I not taking sides in this, but man, they've got a lot of coaches down there, including Joy Gross, that have won a lot, for a long, long time. So it's interesting that this is the direction, in a way that they decided they needed to go. So I'm hoping, that someday we'll find out the reason. I just think it's going to be really difficult to get anybody to probably talk.
And I mean, just kind of piggybacking on what you said, if they are reviewing the athletics as a whole, to kind of shake up the athletics and say, hey, we're serious about this, is to terminate a contract, like Joy, because it's everybody's gonna be like, whoa, what just happened? You know what I mean?
Yeah, not like I said. They only terminated her as a softball coach. She's still going to be weightlifting in the weight room. She's still going to be teaching. So it's not like the rest of the job got her in trouble. Or I don't know how to say that without sounding bad, but they didn't terminate her overall teaching contract or anything like that. So this was a softball decision from everything that it appears to be.
All right, so it seems to be limited to just that one sport, but that statement still just sticks on me, like a review of the athletics.
Yeah.
That tells me, if you really want to be cynical about it.
Right. What do you think? Okay, I mean, what do you read into that?
Honestly, I didn't even think about the winning part of it.
Right.
The programs maybe aren't as winning as much as they thought, but I just now I'm just curious about what did they mean by that statement.
Right. Yeah.
Because you just leave that hanging out there, people are going to fill in the blanks. Like my mind's jumping to.
Right, absolutely.
and that's not going to help the situation.
No, it's not. And I understand it's a personnel decision.
Yeah.
I understand that, any business doesn't have to release. I don't know how to phrase this. It would have been nice if there would have been part of the faction that was trying to get her out as the coach that was there last night. It'd be nice to hear their side to know what's going on, but I also understand that nobody probably wants to be the face of that, and it's a personnel decision. Excuse me, it's a personnel decision, so it's probably hard to have any of that information even released. So.
Yeah, and again, we want to say that the school board had the reasons that they did this,
right?
And I'm sure the school board voted 6-0,
right?
So. we just don't know what those reasons are, and
Right.
sometimes that non-clarity
Right.
leads to more problems.
And the problem with it is I had to post something last night. You can't do nothing, so I typed up what I knew. It's very brief. It's only about 4 sentences long. It was kind of what happened at the meeting, kind of the way I explained it here on the show this morning. But as you know, on social media, there's lots of opinions now getting thrown around, and that's all they are. They're opinions, you know, and stuff. So you're going to find things that aren't true, and you're going to find maybe some things that are true, but, you know, only the people in that room, you know, last night and you know, the other people that were closely involved probably know, you know. But it was weird in this, and weird, I mean, weird in this way, that the group or the faction or whoever wanted to see this happen had to have already had their conversations with the school board, because there was not one person last night that was there that spoke for termination. So that conversation had to have been had privately with school board members before last night's meeting.
Yeah. That's, I mean, there are a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Like I said, we don't know. We're not taking a side. We're not.
Right.
We're just discussing kind of what went down that whole thing. And I will say, social media is going to be just a disaster.
Oh, yeah.
Because everybody's going to have their say, and everybody's going to say, it's for this reason. No, it's for this reason.
Right.
And I guarantee about 90% of it's going to be wrong.
Yeah, and somebody already posted on the story that I posted last night, this whole conversation is trash. Mm-hmm. Which, you know,
The conversation, meaning the conversation.
the conversation of what's going on my post. So, you know, this is what happened, this is why, that's what they were calling trash. And, you know, that's, you know, you get a lot of that with social media.
It will, you know, we're gonna follow IKM Manning like we follow all the programs throughout the season. But boy, this really puts them in a bad spot. Casey, you talked about the girls. You know, what do they think now going into the season?
Especially with season starting, practice starting yesterday. You know, when we have no idea if Joy was there for practice, who ran practice, you know, or if they even had practice.
Right. Yeah.
You know, with all this stuff going on, and who knows, you know, how they're going to start the season. You know, with all of this that's happened, it's just, you know, you feel for the girls that are playing softball this summer in that program.
That's who it affects the most, probably, besides Joy, who's no longer coaching. But it's the kids, and that's what high school sports is supposed to be about. You know,
are they just elevating the assistant coach, or is that yet to be determined?
I don't know. I think Corey was the assistant coach, Corey McCarville, last year, if I remember correctly. I know he was on the staff. So, you know, in my mind, I sit here and go, if they don't have anybody else, it probably falls on the AD.
Yeah, I was saying you're kind of in that position where
that, you know, if you don't have anybody else or you can't find anybody else, it kind of falls. And then you wonder, Joy was always the one that worked on the field down there in Irwin, so that's going to be extra responsibility for somebody to now have to take over. She was the one that really worked that field. So.
Yeah, it came up very sudden, and that's when it went down last night. So that's why we felt we needed to bring it up here on KCIM Sports Rewind and just kind of air it out a little bit. So. Anyway, what chances we'll ever find out, you think?
Very slim. I think we'll get conversations that will be hearsay. I will reach out to people I know, but you know, without having the discussion happening, because it can't. You know, in a public forum, it's hard when you're not getting both sides and the reasons and stuff like that. So, but that's the way things work in the systems that we have today.
You know, that's Joy's not the only coach to ever get involved or wrapped up in all of this stuff either. There's been plenty of coaches that we've covered through the years that have gotten in trouble and gotten released from their contracts for any number of reasons that we have never found out about.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, and like I said, not trying to take sides. You know, I know a few of the members on the school board, covered one of them when they were a player in high school, great young man, and, you know, I'm sure it was not an easy decision and an easy vote to have to make. And, you know, I will say this about Joy. I did say this to her last night after talking to her briefly and getting those comments. She was very good to work with for us. We didn't have to struggle to get results from her, didn't have to struggle to get interviews from her, didn't have to struggle to get, you know, whatever we needed to be able to cover IKM Manning softball. She runs one of the greatest media days ever. You literally walk down there, she hands you a roster. The kids are in order on the uniform number, which is exactly the way the roster is. They step over, you take a picture, the next one steps in. As you're taking the individual photos, she's taking the kids out into the field and getting them lined up for the team photo. So the moment you take that last individual picture, that kid walks out to a spot in the field for the team picture. You take the team picture. I've shot IKM Manning softball by myself and been out of there in less than 5 minutes. You know, that's organization, and that's a coach that
Yeah, because you've been to a lot of other ones that took you an hour and you still haven't taken a picture yet.
Yeah, kids running around and you're not yelling at them, but having to get their attention to get them to come over. And hers, it's organized. It's I think every media member in the world would love to go cover a media day that Joy Gross ran. And that's not me taking sides on last night's decision. That's just, thank her for as easy as she made things for us here.
All right. So there you have that. We just wanted to make sure we mentioned that here this morning.
Yep.
Otherwise, we got a lot of busy stuff coming up over the next week or so. You got postseason that we're going to run down here for, especially track. That's going to be very, very busy. A ton of different locations to cover. Jeff, you're going to run down all that here coming up next on KCIM Sports Rewind.
As athletes at your house prepare for hard work and fun of the season, remember that St. Anthony Rehab Services provides physical therapy for any sports injury that may sideline your member of the team. Sports injuries can plague kids of all ages and keep them from playing the sport they love. Athletes will be under the direct supervision of a certified and licensed healthcare professional in the newly renovated sports performance facility. If an injury is keeping your athlete out of the game, call St. Anthony Rehabilitation Services at 794-5000 for sports injury and treatment rehab.
Welcome back, KCIM Sports Rewind with Sports Director Jeff Blankman, Assistant Sports Director Casey Miners, and me just hanging out here for the half an hour. And it's getting serious. Spring sports season. What?
Yeah, I was going to say, you're the glue that holds the whole show together.
Yeah. You guys just couldn't operate without me here. I get to fill in all the meantime. So you guys say the important stuff, and I get to fill in with all the unimportant stuff.
I will tell you, when you're not here and I have to sit on that side of the board and run the show, it's like totally odd and weird. Even though I sit there every day and DJ, I'm not comfortable on that side of the board during showtime.
Well, make Casey do it.
I know. I might have to in the future.
Then I can sit there and ask you the questions, and I don't sit there.
All I do is ask him questions and make him talk the whole show.
I will tell you one thing. If you're the person asking the questions, you sound a lot smarter than the person sometimes answering the questions. So let's talk about the postseason. It's getting down to it, man. We had an all-staff meeting yesterday, and we're like, okay, Jeff, what's happening in sports? And you're like, okay, state track is happening. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. What happened to the season?
Yeah, it's the 16th, 17th, and 18th, of course, down at Drake Stadium. Qualifying meets are, next Thursday, May the 9th. They'll start at 4 o'clock. We know where everybody's going now. The Carroll Tigers in Class 3A are heading down to Atlantic with ADM, who's loaded. I found out from Coach Schabel yesterday, not just loaded with talent, but loaded. They've got about 100 kids, 100 boys out for track. And Carroll's got, 20-something?
Yeah, well, I think they won the Drake Relays in the 4x1 and shattered a record that was held for a very long time, and then also won the 4x2, so a very good ADM team.
Very good team. Atlantic.
Were they always that good? I mean, or was this like a sudden jump up in the last couple?
I mean, they were good in basketball, and they've been good in football, so a lot of those kids, run track, so I just guess it translates, Is
it sort of like a Van Meter thing? Like they're getting the overflow kids from Des Moines?
They're starting to. You're starting to see Adele itself kind of grow towards the interstate and stuff, the community. So you're starting to see, it's kind of like most of the schools that are just outside of the Des Moines area. You're starting to get some growth in a lot of those, communities. And Adele, it's certainly
they're a district to keep your eye on for sure.
Yes. The rest of that district, ADM, Atlantic, Carroll, of course, Creston, Denison, Schleswig, Glenwood, Harlan, and Storm Lake. So pretty much the Hawkeye 10, Raccoon River Conference, and then Storm Lake. Class 2A, Audubon not able to host this year simply because their girls are in one class, the boys are in a different class because the girls are sharing with Exira, Elkhorn, Kimballton. So the Audubon girls are 2A. Them and Kemper are going down to Trainer along with AHST Avoca Walnut, Clarinda, Missouri Valley, Maple Valley, Anthony Charter Oak Ute, OABCIG, Red Oak, Shenandoah, Trainer, Underwood, and Van Meter. Then elsewhere in Class 2A, ESAC and South Central Calhoun go to Manson, Northwest Webster, along with Cherokee, Forest City, Garner Hayfield, Greene County, Hinton, KPWC-RV. I know it's Kingsley, Pearson, Woodbury Central, and I think River Valley, I think is the other one there.
The alphabet soup.
Yes, getting to be. Lawton, Bronson, Manson, Northwest Webster, Ridgeview, and South Central Calhoun. Class 1A, Audubon boys, along with Coon Rapids Bayard, Glidden Ralston, and Peyton Sherdan are over at Earlham, along with ACGC, Ankeny Christian Academy, Collins Maxwell, Earlham, Glidden Ralston, Grandview Christian, Melcher Dallas, Orient Maxburg, Panorama, St. Edmund, Twin Cedars, and Woodward Academy. I couldn't tell you. I know where all those schools are at. I haven't seen most of those track teams at any of our area meets, so it's hard to know what's going on there. And then Class 1A as well, Arweva and IK Manning go to Westwood, along with Akron, Westfield, Boyer Valley, Galen Catholic, Loma, St. Mary's of Remsen, Siouxland Christian, Tri-Center, West Harrison, West Monona, Whiting, and Woodbine. And Woodbine is really good as well this year. So
they won the Rolling Valley Conference. Last night they won the Rolling Valley Conference, scored 184 points, and the closest was CRB with 77.
Yeah, and that was on the boys' side. Girls' side, they ran kind of ran away with it as well. Won by 70 or 80 points on the girls' side as well.
So give me the Reader's Digest version. Now, what are we looking at as far as area athletes that really have a good shot at the state tournament?
I think we have quite a few. You got to start with like a Marie Day and a Ryan North and a Chloe Judish and an Emma Kuhlman. I'm just trying to pull some names. The IK Manning boys 4x8. Evan Hammer, or not Evan Hammer.
Evan Adams.
Evan Adams. Yep. So yeah, I'm guessing again will be upwards of 70 kids, 60, 70 kids that probably qualify and move on. So we're gonna have a strong showing again.
And the Ottoman girls have a couple good relays. I think they can make it. I think their sprint medley. I think that's been really good so far this year. So and their distance med's been good.
Distance medley's been good. They'll
tell me their shuttle hurdle teams.
Yeah, their shuttle hurdles will always have that shot. Absolutely. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's going to be interesting again. Class 1A, you have to win the district, and then I think they take 8 qualifiers after that based on performance, time, that kind of stuff.
Around the state.
Around the state. Yep. So I think there's 16 districts, and they take the top 8, and then they fill in the following 8 after that with all of the other times from the non-qualifiers. And then in Class 2A, they'll take the top 2, and then I think they take just 8 qualifiers outside of that as well. So there's 8 districts. You take the top 2 to give you 16, and then you fill in the other 8 after that.
So if you don't finish top 2, you're going to be scuffling with everybody else.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's going to change some things because I know in talking with Steve Schabel, Ryan North is an amazing runner, but he's got a district down there in one of his races that it's like he's 5th, even though he's won every event that he's been at this year. He's ranked 5th just in that district alone, so they may not run him because then it comes down to him trying to run a good enough time rather than being an automatic qualifier, and they feel like they might be able to get him in a different event. So
by not running, he's got a better shot at making the state tournament.
Yes, in a different event. Yeah.
That doesn't seem possible.
No.
It doesn't seem realistic.
Right. And saying this in a good way, I would never do it because I think it's the hardest race. But he went up to coach last week and said, I want to try the 400 hurdles. He had never done them before and has run them really well. Now he's ranked 10th in the state in the 400 hurdles. So.
That's impressive right there.
Yes, absolutely. We'll quickly run you through boys golf as well. Top 2 teams will go if the host school finishes in the top 2. They'll take the top 3. But the Carroll Tiger boys go down to Emerald Hills. That'll be on Wednesday, May 8th. They'll be down there with Algona, MOC Floyd Valley, Okoboji, Sioux Center, Spencer, Spirit Lake, and Storm Lake. Their state qualifying meet will be at the Carroll Country Club May the 13th at 10 o'clock. Kemper host one out at the Carroll National on May the 8th at 10 o'clock in Class 2A with ACGC, Cherokee, Manson, Northwest Webster, Pocahontas area, Ridgeview, Southeast Valley, and then South Central Calhoun out of our local area. Their state qualifying meet will be at Landsmere Golf Course on the 13th. Also in Class 2A, ESAC opens up at Willow Vale Golf Course. That's over by Mapleton on May the 8th. They'll be there along with Hinton, Lawton Bronson, of course, Maple Valley, Anthony Charter Oak, Sheldon, Unity Christian, and Western Christian, and Westward. They also go up to Landsmere for their state qualifying meet on the 13th. Class 1A, Coon Rapids Bayard, IK Manning at Lakeside Golf Course or at Lakeside Country Club. That'll be on May the 8th. They'll be there with AGWSR, Exira, Oakland, Kimballton, Newell, Fonda, St. Edmund, and West Fork. Their state qualifying meet will be at Willow Creek on May the 13th. Also in Class 1A, Glidden Ralston goes to Brookside with Akron, Westfield, Boyer Valley, Kingsley Pearson, St. Mary's of Remsen, Siouxland Christian and Woodbury Central. Their state qualifying meet is at Willow Creek on the 13th. And then in Class 1A, you've got Audubon at Fremont County Golf Course on May the 8th. They'll be there with East Mills, Essex, Fremont Mills, Hamburg, Sydney, and Woodbine. Their state qualifying meet is down at Caminita at Crestwood Hills. Now, the Glidden-Ralston meet's actually going to be held on May the 7th, so that'll be on Tuesday instead of next Wednesday. So their sectional will be that day. As of yesterday afternoon, girls regionals had not been released for golf yet. Same kind of thing with tennis. Girls stuff had not been released as of yesterday afternoon, and nothing released on pairings for boys or girls soccer. So the last one I have is boys tennis, Class 1A. Their singles and doubles, both Audubon and Kemper, will go to Denison next Wednesday. They'll have the coaches meeting at 8, and as soon as the coaches meeting is done, they'll go ahead and start up the play. And then Audubon, along with Audubon and Kemper, it'll be Denison, Schleswig, Hoover, Harlan, North Polk, St. Albert, and Storm Lake. The team competitions will be in Denison next Saturday, the 11th, at 9 o'clock in the morning. So those same teams will go down there and they'll play as a team competition rather than as the individual competition.
Now go back to golf a little bit quick. It seems like Kemper boys been grabbing all the headlines this year. Is there anybody else out there besides Kemper?
Audubon,
Coon Rapids Beard boys in 1A. I think will have a chance. Audubon struggled a little bit against some really good competition in their conference, but they're a class size up that they've been facing there. Individuals, I think you can see the ESAC girls make some noise. I think Sydney Barrett and McKenna Steiger, who have both golfed really, really well for them. Maeve Nielsen could. ICAM Manning could make some noise on the girls' side of things as well. I'm trying to think here. Carroll, it depends for the boys,
who's shooting good that day.
Yeah, who's shooting that good, because everybody's led them at some point or another this year. They don't have that consistent one person on the girls' side as well. You could see Elsa Tiefenthaler and Addie Biter, I think, still make some noise. Delaney Shirkey maybe with the Carroll girls could make some noise. But team-wise, I would say the best chances are the ESAC girls. Of course, the Kemper boys, Coon boys, and Audubon boys probably have the best chance to go on as teams.
All right, so that's kind of the postseason rundown as we have it right now. So you guys are about to get super busy. Month of May, man, it just doesn't stop.
No, it doesn't. Hard to believe that our conference track meets and conference tennis matches and conference golf meets all going on this week. And with the weather forecast, we'll see. We could have hardly anything Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then be absolutely overloaded on Friday. Because my guess is that in talking most of the coaches, most people feel like whatever gets postponed or canceled for conference stuff this week will probably try to be slid in on Friday.
I would imagine that you guys are good with just about any weather as long as the wind quits just slamming you guys.
You know me though, man. Give me 75. This standing out at a meet in 52-degree weather with no sun is I don't like cold anymore.
It wasn't too bad at the country club yesterday.
Yeah, no, yesterday was a pretty decent day. Yeah. So
you were out on the course?
Yeah, I was out at the.
I guess I was out mowing my lawn yesterday. So it was like it'd be like 4 different days all in one. It'd get cloudy, it'd get windy, it'd get sunny, it'd get warm, and yeah.
Yeah, I did see some people in town with a mowing company yesterday. I don't know who it was, but they were mowing one of the banks in town yesterday, and they were decked out in coats and hoodies as they were going around on the the self-turn stuff that they were mowing with. So I'm assuming with as fast as they can mow nowadays that it wasn't exactly warm.
We're hoping the May weather straightens out so we can get some of this stuff in for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
Right, that is KCIM Sports Rewind. Once again, catch a podcast available here on the website coming up in just a couple more moments.